The fuck, man? This is what the fuck I went through all that bullshit for, bro. For real, bro, my baby, dog. These people got this fucking video, dog. That's why I hate you, once you got little I hate you, right? You got my ass tied over here. Straight up. I'm keeping 100 with you, bro. Just like you've been doing your whole life, keeping 100 with you, bro. It hurt your feelings, I don't care about your feelings right now. Cause where you going, bro, ain't nobody gonna get the fuck about your feelings, man. So, but do you understand, if you get tried as an adult and convicted, bro, you just erase yourself out of my fucking life, bro? Huh? You and your little friends, bro, what y'all thinking about? To even do some shit like this? Fit in, you see where you finna fit in at? You finna fit in the fucking cage so fucking well, bro. You finna fit in a cage, bro, like a damn animal, man. I've been through that. I was telling you from experience, bro, not because somebody else told me. But I tried to stop you, bro. I tried. I gave him my fucking all, dog. I gave him my fucking all, bro. They not gonna hesitate to put you in a cage, bro. You gonna see that today. Right now, according to that evidence, they got you down bad. You need to do something for your life. Fuck your friends, man. Them niggas ain't your friends. Cause if you did shoot him, they done told on you already, just like you done told on him. Y'all ain't no fucking friends. Ain't no motherfucking loyalty among thieves, man. You was a whole fucking thief out there. You committing crimes and shit. Criminals ain't no loyalty, bro. None of that. Ain't no love. That nigga don't love you. This is where you don't love him. You see where both of y'all at. You got to handle this, grow up now. You got to be a man now. Ain't no more I'm scared and all this stuff here. If you did it, you wasn't scared when you did it. You gonna do some time. You gonna do some time.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Build the Throne right here on Build the Throne podcast. We are going to be talking about a very, very special topic today, and it's probably going to get vulnerable. And when I say vulnerable, men, we tend to not show our vulnerability because of masculinity, and we want to make sure everything is always good. But I came across a video last week, and in this video, it shows a father talking to his son who is about to do possibly the rest of his life in prison. Me and my co-arts here, we're going to talk about it, man, because this is Build the Throne, brick by brick, king by king. First, I want you guys to go down in the comment section and tell me exactly how you feel about what you just seen. And I'm going to get all of my men right here. I'm going to get their opinion about what they seen before we start this conversation. So, brother Martellus, please tell us, what did you feel? What's your opinion on what you seen in that clip?
All right, so okay, so the first thing that I saw was just from the father's emotion is anger, but mostly is more disappointment than anger, because he like is in the video. He's like, man, I tried to guide you out of the way. He said, I'm not giving you secondhand information. I'm giving you firsthand information. I've been in the trenches where the gate closes and you behind them bars, and I'm trying to tell you that's not where you want to go. And he like, just look at your ass. Like, why you do this? And I feel like in the back of his mind, he was, because I was feeling this too, like, damn, what did I do wrong? Was I not there enough? Or, you had everything you need. Why you getting influenced by these dumb ass friends of yours? He broke something down real good in there too when he said, this the part that all of them should hear. When he was like, man, they not your friends. He
Mm.
say they sitting in an interrogation room just like you, and guess what? They telling just like you. Ain't no honor amongst thieves. When you doing dirty, you better do dirty alone, because if you got people with you, those are witnesses. You know what I'm saying? And just like they don't want to be in there, you don't want to be in there either. You about to snitch. You
Mm.
ain't hard like you think you are. And he throwing everything at him that I'm pretty sure he done told him numerous amounts of times. But it's just end of the day, they will do what they want. You just hope that your influence is bigger than the outside influences. And I
Mm.
think he feels like he lost to the outside influences. So, which is peer pressure is a motherfucker.
It
I feel
is.
like he
It
felt
is.
like he lost.
It is. Bronx Legend. What do you feel when you seen that video?
Dad seemed heartbroken. He just was like, man, like you, it was almost like I raised you better than this. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? Like you should have had a better head on your shoulders and made more, you should have made decisions like I raised you to be.
Right.
And, he was letting them know, like in life, there are choices. You made a choice to do some knucklehead shit, and now there are consequences that follow.
Mm.
And you're gonna have to serve out all of them consequences, even if it's the life. And that's
Mm.
unfortunate because as a dad, you want to see your children do well. You want to raise them and instill in them values that you feel that they're going to incorporate when they go out there in that world. It's
Mm.
no different than when, if you have a son, you want to teach them, hey, look, when you get pulled over, turn your radio down, roll your window down, put your hands on the wheel. You know what I'm saying? When they ask you the question and they say license and registration, hey, is it okay if I go ahead and reach for it now? There are things you're going to teach them because there's a lot of people just at the simple things like that, they don't have that teaching. So
Mm.
when you see them videos, and they get pulled over by cops and they yelling and cursing and all that stuff, and you're like, yo, like, why are you making it worse? If you would have had that structure at home, you probably wouldn't have been doing that. So that's the disappointment that's coming from him. I taught you how to do and how to conduct yourself as a man. And
Mm.
you still went out here and chose to do what you wanted to do. But again, life is about choices. But
Mm.
some of those choices, it come with consequences. And that's what we see in that video. And it's an unfortunate event that he's probably going to have to look at his son behind bars for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nomadic, what you got for us?
Definitely tell the disappointment in the father's tone and thing like that. And then people go, he's probably doing the whole, what did I do wrong? What did I do this? But I have a bit of a take on that some people may or may not agree with. A lot of people don't realize a child's basic personality is formed by between the ages of 5 and 7. So a lot of time when these kids are doing this out of pocket stuff that folks think is cute and funny and everybody ha ha he, that's going to determine the personality that you're now trying to teach later on. And if that personality already has a rebellious streak in it already that you haven't addressed at that point, you're never going to be able to properly address it because the only way they're going to learn is when they feel like they should learn it. So it doesn't matter how much knowledge you can give them. If they've already decided your information needs to be fact checked or whatever it is, you can give them $1 million of information, they'll throw it right out the window. So I think a lot of times when people are parenting, and this is something I didn't know initially at first myself, we need to parent even when they're young. I see a lot of parents, as long as that kid quiet, I'm good. That's not parenting.
Mm. Say
Okay.
that again, bruh. Say that again.
Like in those young ages, the parents are like, hey, okay, he's quiet, he's over there on that tablet, he's over there, whatever he's doing, I'm good. I can take a break.
Mm.
As a parent, you can't really ever take a break.
Ever.
Okay. You need the one thing that my parents did with me. There was never a day where my parents tried to take a break from me. Were they always 100% behind me? No. But there was a moment where I had an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours where one of my parents was like, "What you doing? What's that? What's going on? How's that work? What do you think about that? You seen that? Something happened here? You saw, you understand that's entertainment, not real, right?" Those are the type of things you need to learn when you're young, when your mind is developing, when you're basically putting your personality together at an early age. You don't have the 18 years that you think you have. You have a finite time, maybe 5 to 7 years to help them develop their personality. And if you took time off during that time, this is what happens.
Mm. I took the approach, and I appreciate all of you guys' opinions on this, and I agree with every last one of you. I said something on my post about this, and I said, this YN, which that's what he is, this YN actually has a caring father. And I said, most will probably say, if he's so caring, how did his son get in this position? At the end of the day, he showed up. He showed up there to give him some hard truths. He showed up there and didn't sugarcoat anything. And based on what we heard, this child did not just hear that for the first time that day, you know? And I say time and time again, I want to instill certain values, creeds, morals into my children, like Nomadic said, at a young age. Set that foundation. That foundation is going to lead them into teenhood. That foundation is going to lead them into adulthood. What I did with my children, and best believe, people, we're not saying that it's a blueprint to parenting. At the end of the day, we all were freestyling when we first had kids. However, I do know how to identify when you're being a bad parent. Like Nomadic said, if you're just sitting there and the kid ain't doing anything but watching Dora, and you're not involved in that development, that kid is probably just going to figure it out for themselves. I started my children off with the word consequences. This is literally the first word after daddy. They knew, because usually it's daddy. They was trying to say it. Consequences, consequences, and I will beat it in their head from age 2, 3, 4, 5 to where I say it now, they will give me the definition. It's just they feel like they were born with this knowledge already, and it feels like that's who they are because of that foundation. So at the end of the day, I think the father grew up in the same environment as the son, and we can hear it. Hey, I've been through this. Hove did that. Hopefully you don't have to go through that. But sometimes that's all we have. That's what we have. I want to talk about the understanding of what this father is going to go through probably for the rest. I think it said 21 years the boy is facing. What is that father going to go through, Nomadic, on this journey of his son being locked up? And we can tell that he's probably going to be there.
There's going to be, just like with anything with grieving stages, there's going to be the whole different stages of grieving. There's going to be the denial. There's going to be the depression, the exception, and then going on. Like, if he's found guilty, there's nothing that this father can do for his son at this point anymore, other than talk to him while he's in there, maybe try to help him get involved in things that will still be positive. So, because there's more trouble he can get into even while he's still in jail.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only thing he can try to do is guide him in that manner, and for lack of a better way of saying it, keep his commissary up. There's nothing else he can do. He is out of his parents' control. Well,
Mm.
I won't even say control because we like to think that we have control over our kids, but unless you're a stay-at-home parent, you don't have the kind of control you think you do.
Mm.
You want to raise your kids not to how they sit in front of you and present in front of you. You want them to present that when no one's around, when no one's watching, when they don't have when that should be their default setting. It
It's
should.
this it's this saying. I don't mean to cut you
Yeah.
off. You just made me think about it. It says, you'll see what type of parent a person is when the parent leaves the room.
Exactly. You want that child to have those characteristics not the only in front of you. That's like you see a lot of videos where someone's gotten killed and you'll see they have the picture of them in the science fair or the picture of them in the choir or the band or
Mm.
different things like that. And the one thing, and people like to make fun of them, or yeah, well, what so so. You have to understand that child was all of those things. Okay,
Mm.
they didn't just make those pictures up. Those weren't AI. It
Right.
was those things. There's a saying about people wearing masks. There's like 5 different masks that we wear, and it goes for your kids too. Okay, a lot of times being in the law enforcement environment myself, the face that you equate with the person that I dealt with is not the face that I see. Okay, that happy-go-lucky face, that mild mannered, that face that loves his grandmother and all that. I am not saying that child is not that person. He's that
Mm.
person for them. But in
Mm.
that dark alley on Thursday at 3:30 at night, he was not that face to me. And
Mm.
that is why he's where he's at now. And you have to understand, you want to be able to raise your children with enough knowledge that the face that he presents to you is the face he presents to everyone first. That's his default setting. Not saying he still doesn't have other faces, but his default setting is the
Mm.
one that you think is that good child.
All right. I got you. I got you. Jay, what what is that father going to go through in the next 21 plus years with this son?
Um, doubt,
Mm.
self-doubt as a father. Maybe he failed. Maybe he didn't teach him all the necessities that he thought he needed to teach him. I mean, in the video, you see him going through it in the room. There's a lot of emotion coming out that man. So he's going to go through that. He's going to go through worrying about his safety now because it's jail, you know. And then he's going to worry about his mental as well because jail is, people think, oh, well, you're going to fight and people's going to try to kill you. It's not just that. You got to think about it. Your freedom has just been taken away from you. You're in a box and you get to sit there and think about everything that you want to think about that you never thought about how if your friends did snitch and get out, how they living their life and you stuck in jail. It's a lot. It's a mental game once you get in there. And you said 21 years.
Mm.
That's a long time. That can mess your mental up. So as a father, if he's concerned with him now before he goes into jail, he's going to be worried about his mental because if he's been in it himself, he knows what it's like.
Yep.
So that's going to be a thing. And yeah, the grief and the crying and the sadness, but also 21 years is a long time. At some point now it's like, okay, I do have to also go on with my life as well,
Mm.
because time don't stand still.
And he probably got more kids too.
He exactly, you know
Yeah,
what
you're
I'm saying?
gonna have
So he's
to be
going to
there for them.
try,
Wow.
yeah, and he's going to try to be there as much as he can for him. But that 21 years is a long time, and now going in there at that age, unfortunately, jail is going to raise him the rest of the way.
Mm.
And that's going to be the big part that's going to probably change his character. I think we all know some people that went in young and came out,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying, in jail, it changes you.
The thing is, yeah, as y'all know, my little brother, he did 13 years. He went in at 15 years old. He had 40 years, man. And I can tell this father, which I have been trying to track the father down. I'm just keep that on the low low.
Mm.
I've been trying to track this father down because I will love for him to come on the show. But I can tell him exactly what that other side is and what needs to be done for his son to make it to that other side. What happened with my little brother is he had family, not a lot, but he had that structure. He had, I mean, he had something that a lot of them young men that go in there at that age don't have. He had support. He had, I mean, when he came home, it was he came home to like a red carpet, you see? So, but during those years, my mother was up there every day. I mean, every weekend. The thing is, man, you have to be a very centered person on the outside because you're doing that time with them. And I like how Bronx Legend said, you have to still move on with your life. I made the mistake of not. I made the mistake of putting my all into something that probably bit me in the ass later on. However, then when you said that's true. You have to establish things for yourself. You have to put things on the outside that's connected to you priority. And I didn't do that for a number of years. And it hurt me in the long run. You know what I mean? So I can definitely tell him what he's going to experience and what happens at the end of that, man. I want to pose a question to you guys though. Do you guys think that he was a good father just based off of what he was saying?
I'm going
Anybody
to,
can jump in.
because I'm going to say that he was trying to do, just from what he was talking about, he was trying to do the best he could do within the confines of what he understood. Whether that's good, bad, indifference, I don't know, just from that small, group segment. But because of the fact that he's saying, if what he's saying is to be believed, you've had these conversations in the past with this young man. How you had them, how they went about them, whatever it was. This, like you said, someone said earlier, this wasn't new territory. Okay, you covered this. I think he did the best he can. Nobody gets a manual when a kid is born and says, and you got chapters, and it goes, hey, chapter one, birth, chapter two. You have
Mm,
to figure this out as you go along. And a lot of us started out young. I was 19 when I first became a father, okay? I barely knew what I was doing, let alone now I got to tell somebody else or try to give them knowledge on what it is they're supposed to do to be the best person that they're supposed to be. Yeah, I did a crappy job of that for a number of years. I'm gonna be honest because I barely knew what I was doing myself.
mm,
The thing about it is when you know you're not doing the best job, don't interfere with people who might be doing a better job than you. Don't let that jealousy keep that, because that's for the child. Don't let that jealousy keep you interfering in what that child needs. And we also have to realize as parents that they have willpower. Okay, we're not just sitting there programming an android to send out into the world. They're going to have opinions on things. And I think I mentioned, like in a previous thing, that whole because I said so thing does not work in this era because children can find out whatever they want. So, how about just letting them find out? And how about you find out together?
mm, mm,
There is no, like you said earlier, we're not saying that we have a blueprint for the perfect child. And if you follow this blueprint 100%, your child will turn out with no problems. But what we are saying, and what I'm saying, is that the more you engage your child, the more your child knows you, and the more you engage your child as they traverse life, the more you engage with them together, the more comfortable they'll be with coming to you and talking to you about challenges. And maybe you can sidestep. You can't just spit out knowledge and move on. That's not how that works anymore. Okay? Some people don't have a hero complex when it comes to their parents because maybe their parents aren't the best parents, even, on that level. And then all of a sudden you're trying to tell me, like, how can you tell me this when you out here? Mom just bailed you out of jail 2 weeks ago. Okay. So you need to come correct. You need to be able to articulate. And
and explanation
yeah.
of
And if you
why.
don't, yeah. And if you don't know, look your child in the eye. Hey, baby. Hey, man. I don't know. How about
But
we
we
go
gonna
figure it
find
out
out.
together?
We go,
How
and
about
I tell my children that all the time. Martellus, what what do you think is the mechanism to get your kids to listen to you? Piggybacking off of what Nomadic is saying, like what certain methods do you use to get your kids to understand certain things?
So, I was listening to the way I do it is it's an like an authoritative figure. I don't want you to think we too friendly. We can exchange some jokes. We can have a good time. But
Mhm.
at no point do I want you to feel like you could possibly be my equal. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, and it's a because what we used to do, what they used to do is like, you don't you you'll do certain things as a child because one, you might know you can get away with it, or two, you might also feel like your parents might be a little understanding, and you can come to them and talk. My method is come to me and tell me what's going on before things get crazy.
Mm.
Because if things do get
One,
crazy,
two,
I
three.
cannot help you. And no, you that part where he's in an interrogation room talking to his son. I'll be like, son, you fucked up. And you know you did. There's nothing I can say. I'm about to cut this real short, man. Let me know what you need on your books. Because I've already told you so many times. And it's like they do have their own mindset. Some things you won't do just because I think I'm gonna get my ass whooped. When you used to be outside and be like, come when them street lights come on, you better make it in. Hey, you might slag a little bit, thinking like, okay, I mean, they on. I'm about to come on back in real quick. And you get back in there out of nowhere. You get RKO, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? The Dudley dog, you get slammed through a table, like, didn't I? And you hear it, not tell your ass, get in here for the lights. So now you understand that punishment because you got some pain. Also, I feel like you can't spare the rod, spoil a child. You can't do it. You have to. Disciplinary also means sometimes you gotta take action. I don't want to whoop your ass, but I'm gonna do it because if you get out here in life, you're gonna think it's sweet, and life gonna really whoop your ass. If you think these couple of little paps is pain, wait till you sit in that cold jail cell. You ain't got no pillow. You're gonna have to take your jacket off and fold that shit up and lay on a slab of what is it? Not metal. Sometimes it's metal, and it's cold, and you laying there. When you got a whole house at home and you got a two-parent house, sometimes you don't really got a two-parent household, unfortunately. But when it's a father there, like, hey, bro, and then when it's a man, when you a man and you got your son, you treat him a little bit tougher because you have to build up the callus that the world is going to try to cut him with. You know what I'm saying? So you got to build those calluses. I feel like yeah, it's like at no point I when you see me, when the kids see me, anything they was doing bad, like running around the house or they yelling and all that stuff, and it's nighttime, and as soon as the door open, they get quiet, hey daddy, and run over, and it's like that's how it's supposed to be. You know, it's just you supposed to make sure that at any given time, I'm you showing me respect, and you also got a little bit of fear behind that. It's necessary, you know. 48 laws of power.
I
I
don't
think I think what you just said first, the first thing that you said was authority.
Mm.
When you when you make that foundation, and that's how I did it. I didn't have to beat my children. Beat my I think I beat Duchess one time, and she didn't. It was a delay in the cry. I was like, "This shit ain't even." Now, I'm not a fan of corporal punishment because it really doesn't do anything without what we are talking about. Like I said, I've really leaned into explaining things to my children. They know what logic is. They know these things. So I really didn't have to go there with them. Now, I don't knock it. However, I'm saying, okay, what is the goal if I whoop your ass? Okay, I'm just not going to do it anymore because I don't want to get my ass whooped. But what am I teaching actually? Is just to not do it, to have something not be done to them, or do I
So
actually want to teach them something?
That's exactly what I was about to go, because I was a kid when I grew up. You putting hands on me, be it a parent, be it anybody else, that wasn't going to change my opinion. That just changed what I was going to do around you. Okay? Which means I was going to still do whatever it is that I was going to do. I'm just not going to do it around you because you're going to run the fade. My parents, what made me, I did not want to disappoint my parents. That's what made me not do certain things. They didn't have to beat me. They didn't have to do anything because my parents made it early on. And I wish I understood how they did it. But from the time I can remember, we were all a team and everybody had a job to do. And my job as a child was to not get on my family's nerves, get good grades in school, and be an all-around decent person. And that job was crucial. And just like anybody in a job, you get paid. My payment, candy, toys, whatever it was, just like how you go to work and get paid. You didn't go to work and say to your boss, "Where's my check?" And they look at you and say, "You should be happy you got a job."
Mm,
My
mm.
parents didn't say you should be happy the lights on, because them lights benefit them too. Okay, they made me understand I was a piece in the machinery, and that if I didn't do my job properly, the whole machinery failed. So I couldn't be the failure because that would disappoint my family.
Mm.
So that's why wherever I went, wherever I was going, it wasn't about I'm worried about getting a beating. I'm worried about the machine failing because we a team and we try and get the championship.
and so my thing is, it's just unfortunately it's differences. You because you can provide for yourself, I'm providing for you. So since I'm providing for you, I'm making sure that you I'm making sure that you stay out of that trouble, that you have the wits about you to stay out of that trouble. And if you do get in trouble, if you come and you talk to me, it's cool. But some things are irreparable, i.e., you kill somebody, they not coming back. If you do something silly like you want to try to jump on the train and you just pull both your arms off, you're not getting them arms back. So if I can sway you a little bit with like, and I ain't saying like beat the hell out of them, but like about two to five skibbity paps, you gotta get those. Because if right before you do it, you're gonna think about, damn, you already automatically think about the pain that you went through when you got caught doing something similar. You're gonna back off. If you don't back off, all that shows is just you hard headed, or you was gonna do whatever you was gonna do anyway. But that pain gives you the memento that I ain't gonna do this. Just like this, a movie, right? What's the movie? I think it's South. No, it ain't South Central. Uh, it ain't Don't Be a Menace. Hold on, I'm sorry. Can't get
Boys
the
in the
movie.
Hood,
Not Boys in the Hood. Not even that. It's the one where what
South
you say
Central.
about my mama? What's the one we say? What you say about my mama?
Oh, that's Menace to Society.
Minute,
Menace to
yeah, Minute
Society.
Society. Yeah.
That was one of the most realist movies because it's like he started to fall into the bad pattern, and he did have his grandparents. He had a good place to stay, and he still did whatever he wanted. In the end, a simple beatdown cost him his life.
Mm.
You would think like, okay, you stomped me out. No, people retaliate. It's retaliate. It's consequences. The consequence was that dude lost, and you stomped him out with your boys. He came
Mm.
back, lit up the whole block.
And I think it,
Bronx legend. I want to get your view on corporal punishment and beating your kids, opposed to just explaining or building our foundation.
Um, I think depending on the situation, again, I don't have boys or nothing like that. I know we're a little tougher on the boys, but I
Mm.
think we all raised different, and so, and I'm pretty sure all of us is from that era of getting your ass whooped and all of that. That
well,
was
I ain't
almost
saying it
like
ain't never happened. I'm just saying it was minimized.
I
yeah, well,
definitely
that
got my
that that
ass
that
whooped.
shit was
Yeah,
like a language. It wasn't even no conversation. A shoe
yeah,
flew at your head first,
yeah.
and
Like
then
you
it
didn't
was
even know
like,
it was
damn, what
coming.
was that shit?
Hey, I remember I remember when I was 13, my mother had a crate because she'll, just pick up anything, right?
Mm.
And I was big enough at this point in time. She swung it. I said, Mom, we not doing this no more. We gonna start talking. She was like, I'm like, no, I'm stronger than you at this point in time. We're not gonna
Mhm.
do this. We're gonna sit down and talk like human beings.
You just
Wow,
reminded me of something, man.
a bold move.
I had just came back from basic training. I was 18 years old, right? I'm
Oh man.
grown.
Mm.
Okay. I done been basic training. I done been to infantry school, whole nine, right? I come home, I'm sitting there with my grandmother, and I said something way out of pocket. And my grandmother said, what did you say? And she's like, come over here so I can beat you. I got up. I took like 3 steps. And then I was like, hey, grandma, you know I love you, but if you're gonna beat me, you're gonna have to catch me. I'm not doing this with you.
Mm.
I just came, nah, I'm not doing this with you today. And my grandmother, this is the funny part. My grandmother looked at me for a minute and she was like, you know what, you are a little too old for that, right? And we both bust out laughing. And I was like, hey, grandma, whatever I said, hey, I apologize. I'm sorry. I forgot. Maybe I forgot where I was at. I've been away for a while. I won't do it again. And then the funny part was we were eating, and she still bumped me in the head with the damn spoon after a little bit.
He still went.
But Bronx legend, you was talking. I'm sorry. I thought it.
Yeah, we all was raised different and come from that era, but if you don't have to use it, then that's even better. I feel like, that communication and having that safe place and making the communication space available, that wasn't available for me as a kid. It was more like I said what I said because I said so, and that's that. And we ain't talking about it. There ain't no room to debate or nothing like that. So making a safe space for communication and making yourself available to do so, I think that plays a really big part because you want them to come to you when things are wrong. You want them to come to you when they have a good day,
Yep.
when they have something on their mind, they got questions or anything like that. Because, like Brooks was saying, as an authoritative figure in the house, you right here. So they like, well, I wonder if it's okay if I come and ask a question or something happened at school today and I'm not quite sure how to feel about it. Who
Mm.
can I go? I want you to know that it's okay for you to come to me. I need you to know that the road of communication is very open.
Yes.
Yeah, because when it's closed, now I'm searching for other places and other people. And
Mm.
now other people start to raise your children because you don't have that open communication. You so quick to, and it's like, well, damn, I can't say nothing. I can't talk. I can't have an opinion or a thought.
Mm.
But I know the pimp on the corner, he let me talk all day long.
Yep.
And that's the wrong type of raising that you want, So I think having an open communication, I've never had to beat my children. I raised my voice and people hyperventilate. So that was enough, you know?
I want to ask you guys a question though, and we're going to wrap up with this question. And I love this conversation, you guys. I think we should revisit it on a future episode. I want to ask each one of you guys a question, and I'll answer it myself. Have you ever thought of yourself to be a bad father? Like I'm not good at this shit. And how did you bring yourself out of that?
I most certainly did, because my daughter's relationship and I was very rocky for probably up until 11, 12, 13 years old, because of a lot of different outside sources and things of that nature. And I'll be honest, I didn't bring myself out of it. My daughter did.
Mm, mm,
My daughter said to me, and this was a healing moment for me. I know you did the best that you could do. And that's what brought me out of it. I didn't bring myself out of it. If anybody asks, I'll be like, yeah, I was a shit dad. But apparently I wasn't as shit as I thought. You know, I don't know sometimes, because there's a thin line between trying to be a parent, and then when you have some things, and also keeping your mental health together too. Because there's actively someone against you just trying to be a good parent. And that was a situation that I personally had. Now, if you have a situation where you don't have that kind of, in between, then I don't know. I praise you. I did not have that situation. So there were times where, and then you always had people, oh, you supposed to fight, you supposed to do this. In any fight, we learn sometimes a strategic withdrawal is what you have to do. You don't just fight to the last man, to the last bullet, because this is a war you in. Are
mm,
you going to fight to the last man or the last bullet for that battle when you still got war to go? Where's the supplies going to come from? So I was trying to be in there for the war. So sometimes I had to let battles go. Did it hurt? Yes. But I wanted to stay for the duration. It's because life's a marathon, not a sprint.
ooh,
Yeah. And
real talk.
just for me, well, I did have a so I came into the father game a little cocky, and that's only because at a young age I was assisting and taking care of my sister and my brother, to the point, mom's got to go out, she got to go make the money. You the man of the house. Make sure everything's straight. I said, what? I don't even know how to cook nothing, but I know I make sandwiches. So I was doing that, right? Then I was like, they need entertainment. Damn. So I used all of that knowledge when I had my first child, my daughter Journey, right? I was like, oh man, I was like, I'm so amped up because I know what to do. I even bought a trophy, and it was for me and a couple of fathers. I was like, hey, look, at the end of this, we're gonna get Father of the Year. See, as long as they don't die. So I'm like, all right, we do that. And now the one part, fast forward, I think my daughter, she like 5, right? She do something and she she cried. She was When I found out, I was mad because I was like, why would you even lie to me? I was like, I told you ain't gotta lie. Like when you lie, you make it worse. So then when she started crying, right? No, it's the way she cried, and I was like, damn, hold up. The way
Mm,
she cried was like she looked at me straight face and she said, Daddy, I didn't say anything because I didn't want you to be mad. And then it was just falling down. I was like,
She hit you with the Denzel tear.
hey, it wasn't none of that. No hot fish takes. She said she did that, and then I was like, "Oh, damn!" I said, "Babe, you." And then I held her, and I said, "You gotta tell me because if you don't let me know, that means I can't help you." I said, "I'll jump into anything for you. You just gotta let me know, good or bad, so that we can deal with it together." I said, "Okay." I said, "What you did was wrong, But I'm glad you telling me now, okay? I said from now on, just let me know. It's not as bad as you think it is. It's never that bad. I said, and sometimes you're gonna tell me some stuff I might be upset because you can't control the other person, but you can control what you do. You can own up to what you do. I said, take accountability. And I said, you got this though. You got this. Now come on, let's all right, it was something she broke something. Broke some of her cousins. I said, now come on, what we gonna do? I'm gonna go up there behind you. We gonna face it, and you gonna let auntie and your cousin know that you ended up breaking it. We ain't gonna hide this, okay? I said, don't be scared. If you ever get scared, look back. I'm right there over your shoulder. And she took about 5 steps and looked back, and I was like, yeah, but you gotta handle your business. Sometimes I won't be. So we
Mhm.
went up there. She finally did it, and then that made me think like, I was like, damn, am I spending enough time? Because we work so hard, and you got to exchange something. Either you're going to exchange that time for money, or you're going to get that money in exchange for some time. You can't do both. Unfortunately, as men, we cannot do both. We either have to, we work hard with the end goal of, I hope I get the time, the rest of this time to spend with you, or I'm gonna just continue to be in a cycle of a struggle and to make sure we have everything. I don't want to. I don't even want to be in a cycle of did everything get paid. I don't want to be in a cycle of whatever you ask for you can't have, or you want to get in this club but I ain't got enough money. And that's one of the main things. Like I gotta provide, and it's hard to have that conversation with them because they so young, and I don't want them trying to bear a burden. I
Mm.
want them to try to be like, well, I can help daddy, because once you start hearing that, you like, you no 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 no, you don't help anything. You continue to be a child, you continue to be a kid, and you have fun, babe. I said, this is out of your life range right now, so let us handle that, and you keep doing what you're doing, but you won't want for anything. And unfortunately, biggest thing, the biggest currency is time.
Mm. Can't get that back.
Change it for so much. And yeah, that's one of the things that made me be like, damn, I don't think I'm doing as good as I thought. It knocked all the cockiness right out of me. I
Okay.
said, damn, man, she crying real hurt, like, oh man, and I thought about that. I thought about that for like it was some days because I was like, maybe I should approach it this way. I'm second guessing everything. I don't feel confident no more. And my wife got me back on track with that one, but I didn't feel confident at that moment. And it started making me second guess how I should speak. Should I come in a little softer? And I was like, I don't
Mhm.
know. Damn, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm looking up like that. I don't know, man. I'm trying to follow how you was doing it. So you can't say nothing right now, but hey. So
Bronx legend.
For me, it was always wanting to be better, wanting to um, do more, spend more time, um, and just be more available and stuff like that. I'm blessed to have good co-parenting system, so that plays a big part. But also going into fatherhood at the forefront of um, what drove me to be a good father was that I didn't want to repeat the cycle.
Mm.
And I don't know if y'all can agree with that, with fathers or having a
Yep.
father in your life, but my
I felt
biological
I
father had 3 girls, and I seen them all act out because they was crying out for help. They wanted his attention, whether
Mm.
it be social media, they making posts, whether they sending in a group text or anything like that. I've seen it firsthand what happens when you are neglecting your children.
Mm.
And I said to myself, when I become a father, I will do better. I will be better. I will not repeat the cycle because I've seen what it looks like.
Mm.
When you talk about who's the first person that's supposed to show your girl what love looks like from a man, it starts here. We have to show them that, but we have to make ourselves available. We have to be there. We have to be participate, and we have to be present.
Mm.
And I think all of that right there is what makes the makings of a good father. So That's my forefront motivation is I seen what it looks like and what it does. I don't want to do that to mine.
Oh man, that is some real breakdown of what a father is, man. And mine was my divorce. I literally thought I failed my family. This was 17 years of me being in that house every day. They know nothing outside of that, especially the two biologically. They know nothing outside of me being in the house and having that structure, having that foundation. They can come to me. I'm right there. I worked overnight. I'm home. I'm home when they get home. I'm home when they leave. Yeah, I leave at night, but they sleep, and I remember being in the house before the divorce, or we just got a divorce and we was trying to sell the house, man. And my 10-year-old at the time had to step in the middle of me and my ex. Like we were going back and forth all goddamn day, all morning.
Mm.
And when she said stop, and when Martellus was talking about like the face that you see, like she had to jump in the middle of two grown people who raised her and told us to stop. That shit took me and my ex. We stopped. I felt like a child. I felt like the child. And I felt so defeated in fatherhood and the months that went on after that. Um, I don't talk to my stepchild. I knew her since she was 3, and she does not talk to me. You know what I mean? I don't think it's, because she don't like me. She just don't know probably what to even say. And she gonna be on team mom, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I had a conversation with my two biologicals, and they basically told me what's up. And I had to eat that shit. I had to eat it, and it didn't feel good. It don't feel good when your children are telling you something that they know that you did, and they're disappointed in you. And what pulled me out of that, man, is my father, my new woman, and me rebuilding, and them like reassuring me that you are that dude. Yes, we felt that way about you or what you did, but we still love you. I did a whole 25-minute video, which I'm gonna send you guys, where me and that, she was 11 at the time, but she was 10 when she got in between me and her mother. And we talked about it. And I said to her, I said, like, how do you feel about me? And she said, I love you. I was like, woo. Like the way she said it was like matter of fact, like, motherfucker, like you still my daddy. And I had to realize that. So that interview or, show that we did, it pulled me out. And I mean, completely. Now I'm back to that guy, and it is times that we feel that we're not worthy, and it hurts, but we got to eat it. We have to eat it. I'm gonna give you guys the last word on anything that you want to say, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up, baby.
Man, other than it's good to talk about this stuff as my man last week said, sometimes this is like a therapy session in and of itself, just getting certain things out. So I appreciate the time to revisit this, and if you're a new father, new mother, new family, co-parenting, live together, whatever, the biggest thing you got to remember is it is not about you anymore by yourself. It's not about you anymore.
Mm.
it's about that child, because that child didn't ask to be here, and you got to make sure that that child at least gets everything that you possibly can give to set them on a decent path. And if you're still making it about you or whatever other situation, you're not truly doing in the best interest of that child. So just, if you have to take a break and think about it, remember it's not about you.
Appreciate that. Bronx Legend.
Well, shout out to my man, Just the Creator, giving us the platform to have our voices heard as dads, as Black fathers and whatnot. It's good to, like you said, it's almost like a therapy session, kind of get a lot of things off your chest and to just talk about different things of, you know, being a dad and a father, you know, because there's not a lot of people that have fathers in their life.
Mm.
So to hear it from fathers that have been through it, you know, from toxic stuff to marriages to, you know, being a new dad or anything like that, you know, it's good to have our voice heard and stuff like that. And to touch on what Nomadic said, um, it's not about us. It's about the child, you know, and it, like I said earlier, it's important to be present, to listen, assess, and try to give whatever wisdom you may have to your children, so that way that, you know, they could become good people later on in life and make good decisions and not end up like the boy in the video,
Mm.
you know, hopefully. So yeah, that's all I got with that.
And that's the thing, man. That's why we're here. And I appreciate the shout out too, man. That's why I created this platform. You guys know I've been on YouTube for 10 years now. And I've had some ups, I've had some downs. I've had times where I don't know where I'm going in this content creator game. And I feel that this iteration of my platform is my final boss. I think I'm my final boss is build the throne. And we're going to continue doing this every week. I think my next show is going to be dealing with what we was just talking about being a man. What is it, what does it take to be a man, and what if all of these attributes was stripped away? What do you have? I would say you have a savage, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to get in depth in that next week on next week's episode. But I wanted my man Martellus to give him his last word, but I think he's working right now. But I appreciate you guys coming through to this episode. This is episode 2 of Build the Throne on Build the Throne podcast. If you have been watching us since the last episode and you didn't subscribe yet, please do so you can get those notifications. You're going to get the video anyway if you watch the last one. And this is where we have a safe space for men to come and talk about issues. We are not blaming, we are not running away from the issues. What we're doing is just trying to give some gems, receive some gems, brick by brick, king by king. I appreciate you guys coming through. And on top of that, hit that like button, man. That's all I need is a like button hit. It does not cost you anything. But until the next episode, you guys love yourself, love your family, love your kids, and love what you do, whatever you do. We out.